A K9 German Shepherd is accused of attacking someone. They said he attacked a man without warning. They said the K9 couldn't be trusted anymore. After years of loyal service, he was suddenly treated like a criminal. But what no one knew was what really happened that day. Something that would not only change the life of the man he served, but expose a truth far more powerful than anyone imagined. This isn't just a story about a dog. It's a story about loyalty, justice, and the silent strength of those who can't speak for themselves. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn on notifications. This helps us bring more inspiring stories like this to you. Ready for a story that will challenge everything you thought you knew about loyalty? Let's begin. The Arizona sun was high, burning through the late afternoon haze, as Officer Cole Sanders pulled his patrol cruiser to a stop in front of a modest house in a quiet neighborhood just outside Phoenix. The streets looked calm, but dispatch had reported a domestic dispute involving a man with a firearm. That kind of call never stayed calm for long. In the passenger cage behind him sat Bruno, a 6-year-old German Shepherd K9. Still and silent, his amber eyes trained on the house. Cole glanced back at him. "You ready, partner?" he muttered. Bruno didn't bark. He never did on duty, but his ears twitched, focused, alert. "Ready?" Cole stepped out of the car slowly, hand on his belt. He spotted the suspect almost immediately. Jerome Collins, early 30s, shirtless, pacing his driveway, a handgun visible in his right hand. He was talking to himself, too low for Cole to hear. Dangerous energy pulsed off the man like heat off the pavement. "Sir," Cole called, voice calm, measured. "Let's talk. I need you to put the gun down." Collins turned sharply, squinting. "You brought the dog," he spat. "Of course you brought the damn dog." Cole kept his stance. Bruno was out now, standing by his leg, muscles coiled. "I don't want trouble," Cole said again. "Just put the weapon down, and we can figure this out." And then it happened, fast. Collins raised a gun, not toward Cole, but up, sideways, erratic. Not a clear surrender, not a clear threat, just enough uncertainty to trigger instinct. Cole's voice snapped. "Take!" Bruno surged forward like a shadow come to life, clamping his jaws around Collins' forearm before the man could fully process what hit him. The gun clattered to the ground. Cole was on him in seconds, cuffing him while issuing the release command, "Out!" Bruno let go instantly. No hesitation, no aggression, just control. It should have been the end of the story. Instead, it was only the beginning. 2 hours later, Cole sat stiffly in a chair in the precinct conference room. Captain Reyes sat across from him, tight-lipped, and next to Reyes, flipping through a file folder with cold efficiency, was Internal Affairs Investigator Jenna Hale. "There's been a formal complaint," she began. Cole blinked. "About what?" "The suspect claims he was surrendering when your K9 attacked. He raised a weapon," Cole said firmly. "Bruno did his job." "We reviewed the footage," Hale said, slipping a USB onto the table. "Cell phone video from a neighbor. It shows the suspect raising his hands, and then your dog launching." Cole clenched his fists. "That's out of context." "Your body cam failed," she added, "and no second weapon was found." "There was another gun," Cole insisted. "I saw it tucked at his back." Bruno reacted to it. "But without evidence," she said flatly, "we must place Bruno under suspension, effective immediately. He'll be transferred to the K9 holding facility until the investigation is concluded." Cole's throat tightened. "He doesn't belong in a cage." "Protocol," Reyes muttered. Cole didn't argue, but his silence burned. The next morning, Cole watched as Bruno was led away at the K9 facility. Bruno didn't resist. He didn't look scared, but he looked back over his shoulder once, straight into Cole's eyes. It was the kind of look that said, "I don't understand, but I trust you." The media pounced fast. Police dog attacks unarmed man. K9 misconduct under investigation. Did this officer order a vicious assault? It didn't matter that the bite wound was minor, or that Bruno had obeyed every command. The narrative had been written. The hero dog was now a suspect. Cole kept visiting the facility. On the third day, Bruno wouldn't eat. On the fourth, he stopped responding to commands. On the 5th, the trainers told Cole he was shutting down. "He's not himself," one of them said. "Failed his aggression test yesterday. If it happens again..." They didn't have to finish the sentence. Cole had seen what happened to K9 as deemed too dangerous. They didn't get a second chance. And Bruno, who had saved lives, served loyally for 6 years, was on the edge of being labeled a threat. Cole refused to accept that. He began digging into Jerome Collins' background. The man wasn't clean. He had 2 SEAL priors, which Cole knew meant something deeper. Then Cole found a name, Ellis Ford, a known weapons trafficker, and someone who, according to neighborhood witness logs, had been standing just across the street during the arrest. Cole watched the civilian footage again. At one point, Ellis casually crosses into frame, just after Collins drops the weapon. He bends slightly, picks something up. Cole froze the video. Zoomed. A flash of black. Metal. It wasn't clear, but he knew. Ellis had picked up a second gun, the one Bruno had sensed. Cole drove to Ellis Ford's house that same night. He didn't bring backup, just a printed still of the video and a quiet resolve. When Ellis answered, Cole didn't pretend. "You picked up something at the scene," he said. "A weapon?" Ellis's eyes flicked nervously. "I don't know what you're talking about." "You do," Cole said calmly. "And I don't want to drag this into court, but a dog's life is on the line. That hit something." Ellis sighed. "I panicked. Saw it on the ground. I didn't want to be involved." "Where is it?" "In my shed, wrapped in a towel." They recovered the gun within the hour. Serial number scratched off. Unregistered. Prints matched Ellis and Jerome Collins. It was a weapon Bruno had reacted to, the one no one believed existed. Cole submitted the evidence. The next day, IA reopened the review. A week later, Cole sat in the review board chamber. Reyes was there. So was Jenna Hale. So were 2 K9 supervisors and a legal rep from city. "New evidence confirms," Hale said, "that the suspect was in possession of a second weapon. The K9's response is now considered appropriate use of force." Cole's shoulders dropped slightly. "We're clearing Bruno of misconduct." But then came the blow. However, due to public scrutiny, Bruno will not return to active duty. Cole expected that, but what he didn't expect was the next line. "You may adopt him, Officer Sanders." Immediately, no restrictions. That evening, Cole opened the kennel door himself. Bruno sat in the corner at first, motionless. "Hey, partner," Cole whispered. "You're coming home." Bruno stood slowly, took 2 steps forward, then sprinted, tail low, ears flat, into Cole's arms. And for the first time in days, he wagged his tail. Not because the world had changed, but because he knew the one person who never gave up on him had come through. And that was enough. The hallway leading to Cole's locker felt colder than usual. Maybe it was the silence. Maybe it was the way eyes flicked toward him and then quickly away. The once familiar click of boots on tile now echoed like footsteps in enemy territory. Bruno was home now, safe, retired. But Cole was still very much in the fight. "You planning to give a heads up next time your dog makes us a headline?" Officer Travis said as he passed by, smirking. Cole didn't flinch. "Next time someone pulls a gun, maybe try not filming from your front porch." Travis muttered something under his breath, but kept walking. Cole had expected tension, but not betrayal. In the days since the review board cleared Bruno, a quiet division had taken root inside the department. Some officers backed him, but others, especially those under political pressure, kept their distance. He was radioactive now, a walking PR liability. And internal affairs? They were far from done with him. The very next morning, Cole received a summons, another formal inquiry. This time, not about Bruno, but about Cole's off-duty investigation into Ellis Ford, unauthorized contact with a known felon. Inspector Jenna Hale said coolly from across the table, "You didn't have a warrant. You didn't file a report until after you'd retrieved the weapon. That's a procedural violation." Cole leaned forward. "I found evidence that saved the dog's life, and I proved your original report was incomplete." "That's not the point," Hale said. "You went around the system." He didn't argue. He didn't have to, because what he saw in Hale's eyes wasn't anger. It was fear. Fear that he'd uncovered something bigger than anyone expected. Later that day, Cole was sitting on the porch with Bruno at his side. The dog's fur was growing back thicker now. His appetite had returned, but Cole could still see it. The hesitation in Bruno's movements. A kind of emotional limp. Not physical, but deep. Quiet. Just like him. "You saved me," Cole said softly, running a hand down Bruno's back. "Now I'm going to return the favor." That night, Cole pulled up the sealed arrest record on Jerome Collins again. With the help of Reina Torres and Vice, he found a name that had first made him suspicious. Wesley Greer, former weapons tech, suspected of smuggling modified firearms into civilian hands. Never convicted. Known to work with both Collins and Ellis. But more importantly, Wesley Greer was once a confidential informant for internal affairs. "You think IA is protecting him?" Reina asked, eyebrows raised, as they met in a downtown coffee shop under the hum of poor lighting. Cole nodded. "I think Collins was meant to walk. I think Ellis picking up the gun was part of the plan. They wanted the weapon off the scene, so IA could paint Bruno as a loose cannon." Reina leaned back. "That's conspiracy-level stuff." "Then help me prove it." She tapped her finger on the edge of her cup. "Greer's last known address was a shell warehouse in Tempe. We can go see what's there." They drove out after dark. The building was supposed to be abandoned, but Cole had learned long ago that things people call abandoned usually just meant not paying rent. They circled the block twice. A silver Ford F-150 sat idling in the alley. "Company?" Reina asked. Cole nodded once. "That's Greer." They parked a block away and approached on foot. Bruno wasn't with him. Too risky. But Cole wished he were. The side door to the warehouse was unlocked. Inside, stacked crates, shells of disassembled weapons, and something far more chilling, police equipment. Vests. Radios. One crate had the department seal. Scratched out. "This is stolen gear," Reina whispered. Or redirected. Cole pulled out his phone and took photos. Then he paused. A folder. Open. With printed photos. Surveillance photos. Of Cole, Bruno, even Reina. Someone had been watching them. Too late. He heard the click of a boot step behind him. He turned. Greer stood in the shadows, gun in hand. "You should have stopped when you got your mutt back," he said. Cole kept his hands visible. "So it's true. You're supplying IA's assets off the books." Greer laughed. "IA? No. They just look the other way. They don't want bad press. But Collins? Ellis? They're just pawns. I'm running a pipeline. Retired cops. Ex-military. Ghost contracts. And the gun?" Cole asked. "Disposable," Greer said. "No serial. No trail. No witnesses except your dog. And now you—" Cole tensed. Reina stepped forward behind him, badge raised. "You're under arrest, Greer." "Drop it." Greer hesitated, then tried to run. Cole tackled him against a crate, sending metal and papers crashing around them. Reina moved fast, cuffing him as Greer shouted obscenities. It was over in seconds. That night, the truth spread faster than Cole had expected. The press had a field day. Ex-police weapons tech busted in smuggling scandal. K-9 officer vindicated in department cover-up. Bruno's bite, the dog that exposed corruption. Bruno became a symbol, a hero. And Cole? He finally got a phone call from Reyes. "You were right," the captain said. "And we were wrong. I'm sorry." Cole didn't gloat. He didn't need to. He only said, "Then clear my record, and take care of the good ones still serving." Reyes agreed, then paused. "One more thing. Bruno, he's cleared for full retirement with honors. Medal of Valor." Cole looked down. Bruno was lying at his feet, eyes half closed, chest rising and falling peacefully. "I'll make sure he wears it with pride." The ceremony was small, but heartfelt. Officers from 3 departments came. Reina, Captain Reyes, even a few of the ones who had turned their backs at first. There were tears when Bruno received his medal. Applause when Cole shared their story, and silence when he said, "This dog never questioned his orders, never hesitated when a life was at stake. But when the world turned on him, he stayed calm. He trusted me to fight for him, and I did, because loyalty like his, you don't abandon it. You honor it." That night, Cole and Bruno sat on the same porch. The desert breeze was cooler now. A thunderstorm flickered far in the distance. Bruno leaned against Cole's leg, eyes watching the horizon. "You knew all along," Cole whispered. "Didn't you?" Bruno didn't answer. He didn't have to, because some truths don't need words, and some heroes don't need to explain what they saw. Cole thought things would calm down after the ceremony, after the medal, after Bruno was officially retired and cleared of all wrongdoing. He imagined life would return to something close to normal. Mornings with coffee on the porch, long walks with Bruno, maybe even time to fix the dam gate that Bruno used to crash through like a cannonball chasing squirrels. But peace never came. Not really. Bruno still carried the weight. He moved slower now, more cautious, flinching at sudden noises or raised voices on TV. He didn't bark much anymore. He mostly stayed close, his favorite spot by the sliding door, eyes always tracking the street beyond. Cole was trying to let go, trying to live quietly. But somewhere deep inside, he knew it wasn't over. And one night, that fear proved true. It started with a call. Unknown number. No voicemail. Then another. Same pattern. Cole ignored them, chalking it up to spam, until he walked outside one morning and found the mailbox bent at a perfect right angle. No tire marks. No debris. Just twisted metal, like someone wanted to make a point. Bruno sniffed it and growled deep in his throat. That night, Cole set up the old outdoor cameras he used during active duty. Motion sensors, wide-angle lenses. They weren't the newest tech, but they were good enough to catch movement. 2 nights later, they triggered at 3:12 a.m. Cole watched the footage on his laptop the next morning, his breath stalling when he saw a figure step out from the edge of the neighbor's driveway, dressed in black. Hat pulled low. A second figure followed. They didn't approach the house. Just stood, watched, and left. Cole clenched his jaw. Someone was testing him. He sent the footage to Detective Reina Torres. 2 hours later, she called. "You're not being paranoid," she said. "Those aren't random creeps. You got an ID?" "No faces. But I recognize a car that dropped them off. It's linked to a private security contractor out of Utah." "Let me guess," Cole muttered. "Used to work with Greer?" "Worse," Reina said. Barrett Lowe, Greer's former handler. A ghost, ex-federal, ran covert surveillance ops overseas. And now he runs private operations here. Off the books. Cole swallowed hard. "He's watching me. Or testing you. Seeing if you'll rattle." Bruno walked past Cole at that moment, tail low, ears flicking. "I'm not rattling," Cole said. "I'm preparing." Cole began retraining Bruno, not for duty, but for survival. They started with basics. Recall drills. Obedience under distraction. Bruno was rusty at first, hesitant even, but after a few days, Cole saw the fire return, bit by bit. Every morning before sunrise, they ran the perimeter. Every night, they practiced alert drills. Cole set up scent markers, left metal tools under crates, made Bruno find him in silence. No barking, just silent signals. Bruno adapted fast, because he knew this wasn't police work anymore. This was war. It escalated 1 week later. Cole came home from a supply run and found the front door cracked open. He hadn't left it that way. He entered quietly, weapon drawn. Bruno moved ahead, low and controlled. The house was untouched. Nothing stolen. No signs of a break-in, except for one thing. On the dining table, someone had left a small, square envelope. Inside, a printed photo. Cole and Bruno. On the front lawn. Someone had taken it that morning. Cole flipped it over. "You should have let the dog go down." His hands trembled as he put the photo down. Bruno stood beside him, unmoving, his eyes fixed on the door like he expected someone to walk back in. Cole knelt, resting his hand on Bruno's neck. They're not finished, but neither are we. The next morning, Cole went to the precinct, not as an officer, but as a man with a target on his back. Captain Reyes was there. He looked tired. "I know I'm not on duty," Cole said, "but I need access to anything you've got on Barrett Lowe." Reyes stared at him. "Why now?" "Because they've been here," Cole said. "On my lawn. In my house. This doesn't end unless I end it first." Reyes didn't argue. He slid a manila folder across the table. "Don't ask how I got this." Cole opened it. Classified contracts. Surveillance assignments. Cleared names. And at the center of them, Barrett Lowe, former military intelligence, now head of a security consulting firm with deep gray ties. The report listed his specialties: tracking, intimidation, pressure tactics. He'd never been charged with anything, but everyone knew. "Thank you," Cole said. Reyes nodded once. "Watch your back." That night, Cole reinforced the house, added bolt locks, reinforced the window latches, rechecked camera angles. He installed a backup power unit for the surveillance system. He wasn't just playing defense anymore. He was preparing for their next move, and he knew it would come soon. The people Lowe worked with didn't like loose ends. And Bruno wasn't just a retired dog. He was a dog who exposed their entire operation. Cole clicked through his laptop one last time before sleep. Outside, Bruno lay by the door, wide awake, waiting. Cole had never seen Bruno behave like that, not even during live calls in the heat of duty. It started during a simple stop. He had taken Bruno with him to the hardware store in East Glendale, same place they used frequent when the department let handlers buy gear for K-9 training. It was quiet, familiar. Cole kept the trip casual. Get a new motion sensor. Pick up reinforced screws for the porch lock. Maybe give Bruno a chance to walk in public again without tension. But the moment they pulled into the lot, something shifted in Bruno. He stiffened in the seat, nose twitching, ears straight, eyes narrowed on a delivery van parked across the lane. Cole had seen that posture before, back when Bruno would detect narcotics through a double-lock trailer wall, or spot a suspect hiding behind a shipping container during a night raid. This wasn't anxiety. It was detection. Cole followed his gaze. The van was unmarked, white, with slightly tinted windows. Nothing that screamed threat. But Bruno was growling now, low, focused, vibrating through his chest. Cole pulled the truck closer, slowly, windows down. Bruno barked once. Sharp, not aggressive, but directive. "Stay," Cole muttered. He stepped out and approached the van on foot. No movement inside. But as he passed the front bumper, he saw something that made his blood run cold. A small black camera, fixed under the grill. Infrared, military grade, hidden from anyone walking by. Except someone like Bruno. Cole circled back to his truck and drove out, trying not to show he'd seen it. As they hit the freeway ramp, Bruno exhaled, ears easing slightly. "You just found one of Barrett's eyes," Cole whispered. "Didn't you?" Back at the house, Cole called Reyna. "I think they're tracking public areas now. Surveillance vans." Bruno reacted to one outside Lowe's hardware. "I found a cam." Reyna didn't hesitate. "That's Barrett. His whole model is mobile eyes and passive pressure." Cole leaned on the counter, staring out the window where Bruno was now pacing the backyard. "They're not watching anymore," he said. "They're circling." Reyna sighed. "We need a name, a location, something we can use to force their hand." Cole nodded. "Then I'll start knocking." He began with an old contact, Marcus Red, former handler turned security guard who once worked with Barrett on a failed training facility project in Nevada. Cole drove 3 hours north to find him. Marcus lived in a trailer backed against the mountains, surrounded by fencing and a dozen no trespassing signs. He looked thinner than Cole remembered, nervous, always glancing at the tree line. "They're still out there, Cole," Marcus said as they sat on the front steps. "You blew a hole in something big. Greer was just a bait dog. Barrett? He's a wolf." "I need to find him," Cole said. Marcus shook his head. "You don't find Barrett. He finds you." Only reason you're breathing is because he's not done playing with you yet. Cole let that sink in. What if I told you he was building a new base? Not government-sanctioned. Private. Remote. Marcus hesitated, then pointed east. Ghost Compound. Old copper mine site near the Mogollon Rim. They've been running generators. Dogs bark at night. No self-service out there. Locals know to stay away. Cole felt a chill rise up his spine. Were they hiding? Marcus looked him dead in the eye. People. Footage. Ghosts. That night, Cole sat with Bruno at the edge of the back deck. Stars scattered like glass above the desert hills. He ran a hand through Bruno's fur. "We're going to find it," he said softly. "The place where it all connects." Bruno rested his head on Cole's knee, still and warm. But when Cole glanced toward the trees lining the road, he noticed something strange. A glint. Not moonlight. Not a car. A lens. Someone was watching. Again, he stood slowly, walking to the edge of the property. There, on the edge of the wire fence, mounted to a fence post where the brush thickened, a trail cam. Small, digital, wireless. He yanked it off and opened the back. SIM card inside. No brand ID. Military style. He returned to the house, Bruno trotting beside him, alert. This wasn't intimidation anymore. It was documentation. They weren't just watching for fear. They were recording patterns, studying his movements, and possibly planning something bigger. Cole drove to a friend's cabin the next morning. Off-grid, signal-free, quiet. Raina met him there with a laptop rigged to bypass most encryption systems. They popped the card into a reader and watched the data appear. Over 300 video files. Time-stamped, cataloged by movement triggers. Dates stretched back 3 weeks. They saw Cole at the mailbox. Bruno sleeping on the porch. Even a clip of Raina exiting her car during a past visit. And then one file, just a few seconds, showed a man's silhouette stepping to the edge of the yard middle of the night and dropping something near the fence post. Raina froze the frame. Cole leaned in. "That's him," Cole said. "That's Barrett Lowe." Raina's expression darkened. "We just got proof of active surveillance. Unauthorized. On private property." They crossed a line. Cole exhaled slowly. No, they exposed one. Now, they had what they needed. Time, location, identification. And Bruno? He had led them to the first real crack in Barrett's armor. They left at first light. Cole drove. Raina handled comms. Bruno sat behind them in the back of the truck, harnessed but alert, watching every mile disappear in the rear view like he knew this trip mattered more than the rest. The road to the Mogollon Rim wound like a ribbon of tension through dry pine forest and abandoned logging routes. The map showed nothing. No compound, no building, not even a marked trail. But Marcus Red's coordinates didn't lie. An old copper mine, long inactive, hidden behind 70 miles of national forest. The deeper they drove, the more the signal dropped. Until even Raina's military-grade comms unit began to crackle. "We're blind," she muttered. "Good," Cole said. "Means they're not expecting company." They parked a mile out and approached on foot. Cole moved like he used to, eyes scanning treetops, shoulders tense, senses wide open. Raina had her Glock in one hand, flashlight in the other. Bruno trotted ahead, muzzle up, body low. By the time they reached the clearing, the forest had gone unnaturally quiet. No birds, no wind, no movement. Then they saw it. A perimeter fence. Chain link, 8 feet high. No signage, no wires. Just there. And behind it, 3 structures, military-style bunkers, gray concrete, half sunken into the slope. 1 watchtower, a generator shed. No flags, no guards, just shadows. Cole raised his binoculars. Thermal scans showed 2 bodies stationary. One sitting inside the central bunker, the other pacing near the southern entrance. "Small staff," Raina whispered. "Maybe surveillance only." Bruno suddenly stopped, hackles up, then he turned his head hard right, sniffed the air, and growled, a low, steady vibration from deep in his throat. Cole followed his line of sight and saw it, a dog, Another German shepherd, chained to a post behind the second bunker. Dirty, scarred, eyes dull, muzzle strapped shut. But when it saw Bruno, it whimpered. Bruno took a step forward. Then another. Reyna placed a hand on Cole's arm. He knows him. Cole swallowed. That's one of Greer's old dogs. Survivor. Test subject. Reyna scanned the compound again. They're still experimenting. Cole clenched his fists. That was all he needed. He turned to Bruno. Ready? Bruno didn't move. He just looked up at Cole and blinked. A silent yes. They circled around the north side of the compound. Reyna cut the fence with bolt cutters from her pack. The metal snapped silently under pressure. They slipped through one at a time. Cole first, Bruno after, Reyna last. They moved fast, behind storage crates, along shadowed walls. Cole reached the first bunker and tested the door. Locked. He slid the pick tool from his belt, learned the trick back in narcotics. It clicked in seconds. The door creaked. Inside, darkness. Then the smell. Bleach, sweat, metal, and beneath it, blood. Reyna turned on the flashlight. Files, cages, muzzles, digital logs left open on monitors, laptops half-packed, blank vet charts, folders marked only by initials. And in the far corner, a crate. Cole opened it slowly. Inside, footage, dozens of drives, SD cards, labels like J.Collins/Phoenix, and Ford Evidence 6.7. Reyna's jaw tightened. These are the originals. They weren't just hiding surveillance. They were curating blackmail. Cole grabbed as many as he could carry. Suddenly, Bruno stiffened again, then barked. Once, sharp, urgent. A voice echoed down the hallway outside. Footsteps. Fast. Cole ducked beside the desk. Reyna covered the rear entrance. The door burst open. Barrett Lowe stepped in, gun raised, face unreadable. He froze when he saw Bruno. Well, he said softly, the hero shows up after all. Cole rose from cover, weapon aimed. Drop it. Barrett smirked. You won't shoot me, Sanders. You want answers. Not anymore, Cole growled. Now I want justice. Barrett tilted his head. Justice? This country let your dog rot in a cage for doing his job. You think I'm the real threat? Bruno growled again, louder. Barrett glanced at him. He still remembers, doesn't he? The tests, the pain, the betrayal. Cole's voice shook. What did you do to him? Barrett smiled. We were building better soldiers. Ones who don't question, who don't hesitate. You got in the way. Reyna stepped forward. We have your evidence. Your drives. Your dog victims. You're done. Barrett's finger twitched on the trigger, but he wasn't fast enough. Bruno lunged, straight at his gun hand. The weapon fired once into the air. Then Bruno slammed into Barrett's chest, sending him to the floor. The gun clattered away. Cole rushed in, cuffing him with zip ties from his belt. Barrett wheezed, winded. You still think he's just a dog? Cole tightened the tie. He's better than any man you've ever known. They called in from the base of the ridge, using a satellite phone from Reyna's pack. Within an hour, a joint federal-state task force descended on the site. Barrett was arrested. The compound was seized. The evidence recovered. And the dogs, those who had survived, were rescued and transferred to a veterinary shelter in Phoenix. Among them was the old shepherd chained to the post. He would later be named Ranger, and Bruno would visit him every week. That night back home, Cole sat beside Bruno on the back porch. The wind was soft. The sky was clear. You did it, Cole whispered. You finished what they started. Bruno rested his head on Cole's foot. At peace at last. 3 weeks had passed since the raid. The compound was dismantled. The drives had been turned over to federal prosecutors. Investigations had opened in 3 states, with Barrett Lowe facing charges for conspiracy, animal abuse, destruction of federal property, and obstruction of justice. But Cole didn't care about the legal headlines. He cared about Bruno. The shepherd who had once been accused, locked up, nearly put down, was now something bigger. He was proof. Proof that loyalty couldn't be erased. That truth had a voice, even when the world tried to silence it. That a dog, trained to fight, could also teach people how to forgive. The city of Phoenix organized the ceremony. Cole hadn't asked for it. In fact, when the mayor's office first contacted him, he'd hesitated, but it wasn't about politics anymore. It was about the people who never got to say thank you. To Bruno, to Ranger, to the dogs no one had fought for. So Cole accepted. The ceremony was held at Phoenix Civic Plaza, beneath a large white canopy flanked by officers from every major department in the state. There were civilians, too, families, veterans, school children with handmade signs that read, "Thank you, Bruno," and real heroes walk on four legs. Cole sat in the front row, Bruno at his side, wearing a new black harness with a silver tag etched simply with the word, Guardian. Captain Reyes took the podium first. His voice, usually restrained, shook with sincerity. "We nearly lost a hero because we listened to fear instead of facts," he said. "But this city, this community, was reminded what courage really looks like. And sometimes courage doesn't speak. It just stands by your side, teeth bared, heart open." Applause roared through the plaza. Reyna followed. She kept her speech short. Bruno didn't need a badge to be brave. He didn't need orders to do what was right. He did it because that's who he is. Because sometimes when humans fail, dogs show us how to be better. Then came Cole. He walked slowly to the podium, Bruno following at his heel. They stood under the sunlight, one man, one dog, against the skyline of a city that had once doubted them both. Cole cleared his throat. His hand rested on Bruno's neck. "There was a time," he began, "when I thought our story would end in silence, that no one would care what happened behind closed doors or in the shadows of our own institutions." He looked down at Bruno. But this dog, this partner, never stopped believing. He didn't speak, but he never let me forget who he was. He didn't just survive. He reminded me why we fight. Not for revenge, not for recognition, but for the ones who can't fight for themselves. The plaza was quiet now. "I owe him my life," Cole said. "And today, I'm just proud the world finally sees why." The audience rose to their feet. Children cheered. Officers saluted. And Bruno, ever composed, simply sat, calm, dignified, watching everything with the eyes of someone who had seen more than most humans ever would. The next day, something unexpected happened. A woman knocked on Cole's door, elderly, with soft hands and a face lined with stories. Her name was Mrs. Loretta Collins, Jerome Collins' mother. Cole felt a knot rise in his chest. "I saw the news," she said, "and I want to come in person." Cole stepped aside silently. She walked to Bruno, who approached slowly, ears cautious but unthreatening. "I used to hate this dog," she whispered, kneeling, "because I thought he hurt my son." Bruno sat before her, still. "But now I know," she said. "He saved him. My son was lost, twisted by bad men. But your dog, he stopped him before he made it worse." Her eyes watered as she touched Bruno's head. "And for that, thank you." Cole felt the knot in his throat loosen. Some scars never disappear, but forgiveness makes them easier to carry. In the following weeks, Cole and Bruno started visiting the dogs rescued from Barrett's compound. Ranger, the shepherd Bruno had recognized, was recovering well, gaining weight, learning trust again. Cole was working with a nonprofit that planned to rehome each survivor, one by one, carefully. But not Ranger, because Bruno wouldn't leave his side, and neither would Cole, so he adopted him. Now, the two shepherds shared the same porch, the same yard, the same bowls, different scars, same strength. 6 months later, Cole opened a letter from the State K-9 Association. It was official. Bruno had been inducted into the Arizona Hall of Valor. His name engraved next to legends, handlers, officers, war dogs who had served with distinction. But Bruno was the only one who had almost been erased. Now, no one would ever forget him. On their final visit to the precinct training grounds, Cole watched as new recruits ran drills across the dirt field. Young handlers, full of nerves, eager pups, barking with too much energy. Bruno didn't bark. He simply walked alongside them once, like a silent instructor, One of the rookies, a nervous 20-something named Jalen, asked, "Is that really the Bruno?" Cole nodded. Jalen crouched and reached out. Bruno let him. "He's smaller than I imagined," the kid said, smiling. Cole grinned. Size isn't the part you remember. It's what they carry inside. That night, Cole sat between Bruno and Ranger beneath the stars. They were old now, older than the world let most K9s live to be, but their eyes were clear. Their hearts were steady, and their purpose unbreakable. "You were never just a dog," Cole whispered. "You were the voice of every soul the system tried to silence." Bruno looked up, blinked once, and leaned his head against Cole's hand. Still guarding, still believing, still home.